Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 655, recorded live on Sunday night at, it's 9 p.m. here. If we're talking Eastern, it would be
Let's not
Monday
talk about
morning.
times. We're not having conversations about times. We're lucky that I made it. We're lucky that we even know what day it is. It is Thursday, like it's 7:14 in the morning, right? That's when we agreed to meet.
Sure, something. It's Sunday night. We'll just stick with Sunday night. It's still Sunday night for both of us. So, there you go. I'm your host, Patrick. The other voice you hear is the one and only Samius Gurobo, who may have just dropped out of the call. Cool. There he is.
I was going to say, do you want to do the open or my internet just died? And both happened, I guess.
Good timing. Hello, Samus. How you doing?
Greetings and salutations. Apparently, technical difficulties here in the new Iron Man cave.
Yeah, rocking the new office. That's pretty cool. Looking forward. Give folks a view of that in just a hot second here. But first, this week's screenshot. Kashidi has a pumpkin-centric good time in the 528th DDO screenshot of the week. Thanks for sending in this week's screenshot. It's a nice look. I believe that is the devil mount, bone devil mount, or no, that's the lizard mount from Saltmarsh is what that is. Let's see. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can watch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website at DDOCast.com. DDOCast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network, and shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show will probably be next weekend, and you can stay updated by following us on our social media at DDOCast is the best place. And also we have a calendar at DDOCast.com, which is, mostly usually kind of up to date ish, But yeah, you can always find that out. And yeah, on the podcast this week, we're going to be talking about Update 51, Preview 3. We got the third preview this last week, so we'll kind of go through that stuff and talk about the other game news as well. But that's really kind of where we're going to be focusing today. And hopefully Sam will look at his tech issues figured out shortly. It's been that kind of a day. Yeah, we'll see how it goes and all that fun stuff. And my own power went out this morning or this afternoon, so hey, here we go. It's going to be that kind of a day. Welcome, and we're glad that you could join us. All right. Let's jump into game news. There was a patch this week, Update 50, Patch 4, Hotfix 1. That's what we're on here now. So yeah, there's been a few patches. Just kind of really tells you how long it's been since they've had an actual update. But Update 51 is coming soon. Anyways, Update 50.4.1 released on Thursday, October 21st. Even they had technical difficulties because it was supposed to come out. They got into the office and there was something wrong with the build, and they had to do some stuff with it before they could even pop it in. Let's see. Of note, the Luck of Night Revels buff for the Elixir of Spooky Luck now properly reflects the bonus it gives as 10%. The Jawbreaker cosmetic tower shield offered by Night Revels vendor now has the correct recipe instead of showing the Jack Orb cosmetic, which does not appear in the game at this time. The Nightmare mount will correctly be delivered when acquired through the daily dice. The team is working to identify and correct the situation for those already affected. You may remember the last update. This was Nightmare mount was supposed to be in the daily dice, and people wanted the Nightmare mount because that seemed pretty cool. And people spent a bunch of shards on it. I think our friend Voodoo's did 100 rolls trying to get it. Did not get it.
100 rolls sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
How do I sound now, by the way?
You sound
We're
okay.
using our phone. Okay, perfect. Technology, my friends.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
you're having a bad technology day when you flush the toilet and it starts making noises. You're like, oh no, I have a show that I'm going to go back and start. Is this going to blow up in my face right now? That's when you know you're having a
Oh,
bad day.
I hope not. I
That
hope you
was
haven't had those bad days.
it made funny noises, but it stopped. That was a couple shows or a couple shows or so ago. But yeah. Anyways, so now the Nightmare Mount is in there. I can confirm through another person. I didn't get it, but I did see someone who did get it. So it is there. I don't know what it means that they're working to identify those that already been affected. I assume this means that they're trying to get the people that should have gotten it. I guess maybe it flagged them as should have gotten it. Maybe I don't know what they're doing here, but hopefully those people get the Nightmare amount that they were fishing for if they spent a whole bunch of shards on getting it. Because holy cow, that's a lot. So there's that 100 shards at 15 a pop. So 1,500 shards. That's a lot of shards. I don't even know what that is in points because I don't ever buy shards. So, yeah. Okay. Let's see. That'll take us to Preview 3 with that was on Lamania this last week. A couple of new notes just kind of in general. Improved zombie form now properly penalizes your attack speed. Knight's training now increases the threat range of maces and warhammers by an additional 1.
I feel like these ones that you're going to do are very impressive. The
The
Knight's training and the Swords to Plowshare.
Yeah, Swords to Plowshare now increases the threat range of quarterstaves by an additional 1.
Yeah, both of those seem very, very good to me.
Yeah.
Like taking weapons that are just bad and making them good by doing stuff like this is kind of cool.
I think it's a decent way to do it. I'm a little shocked because they talked about how they wanted to like do some synergy with some of the feats in the Epic Destinies, which they did some of, but not anywhere near what I was kind of expecting maybe to happen. This actually seems like something that would work well in that. Like if you have this. Well, but hear me out. Okay, hear me out though. Let's say that you were in the monk tree, the Grandmaster tree, and you had this stance, and there's the one where it's while you're in your stance, you get plus 1 W. You could put that if you have Sword to Plowshares, your threat range with quarterstaffs is increased by additional plus 1. Like you could do that.
You could, and that would be a fine option. But do you want to put weapon-specific things in that category? And that's where my hesitancy is. I think that the idea has been to make them as general but still themed, right? They're trying to make them take a lot of that specificity out and change it so it's more involved specifically with the stuff that's contained inside that Destiny. At least that's how I've been looking at it a lot. So, like, trying to take a weapon and put it inside of a Destiny seems really bad. Making generic things like that you modify whatever weapon you're using that add an extra plus 1 all the time, that seems like it makes a lot of sense at the Epic Destiny level. But if they're trying to make something like a feat, like a quarterstaff better, I feel like that time needs to exist for the entirety through the time that you're going to be using the feat, which kind of means that it needs to be either modify the feat or adapt off of your character. And for whatever reason, we can't have things that adapt off the character level, so it's got to be a feat. And just bam, that's how it is.
Yeah, man, it's.
I feel like if you think about it like that, it's just I don't
Right.
think you want to put stuff like that inside Epic Destinies.
I'm okay with some weapon-specific things, and they've actually done some too.
I have not seen any yet that they have added to that. I've only seen places that it feels like they're pulling them out.
It's in a couple. It's mostly in the what's it called? The crit. In tier 5, there's a bunch that have like a crit multiplier up there.
Mm-hmm.
And those are usually restricted by a set of weapons.
Right. There's like a window where a lot of things become good at the top necessarily, although not. I don't think there's a ton of them. There used to be more. Like what's currently active in the game, I think there's some, but not very many, right? Like the knife specific one, the bow specific one, but not like oh, like the bard one's not going to get +1 with clubs, right? Like you don't want those kind of things.
Right. Yeah. I don't know that it would necessarily be a big deal, but it would be kind of
I
interesting
would
if
like
they
to
had
see stuff like
something to
that.
that clubs, like
I
make
would like to
clubs
see
good.
stuff like that adapt off of character level, to be really honest, so it grows as you grow. That's how I'd like to see stuff like that, but we've never had that technology really work well into.
Right. Yeah.
So, unfortunately.
Speaking of technology that hasn't necessarily always worked well, the Warlocked Enlightened Spirit Eldritch Aura has been rebuilt to eliminate a number of bugs and assist in better future balance for Warlocks. It is no longer a toggle. Instead, it is cast in a manner similar to Cleric's Radiant Servant Aura. The aura lasts near indefinitely and through death, but must be recast on login.
Okay,
Seems.
that's fine.
I mean, she's been working. Linabelle has been working on doing working on toggles, right? Making toggles not
Terrible.
not have to go on and off every login.
Yeah, great changes.
Yeah.
Like they
Uh,
all sound really great.
and he has this would have been one of them, but apparently he decided there's other things going on here that need to rework. So, cast it like the Radiant Servant Aura. I assume near indefinite means that it's gonna turn on for like an insane number of minutes in your hotbar, right? Probably hours and hours or something like that.
Yeah, probably. Like
Casting
you probably won't even see a timer, right? It'll just be up there.
maybe. Um, does it turn? Does the toggle turn off when you die currently?
Yes.
So lasting through death, that's an
I'm
improvement. That's
almost
cool.
entirely sure.
I think it does as well.
I think so.
Uh,
I,
as well as the other the celestial aura thing that turns you into like lets you float and stuff like that also does the same thing.
yeah. A lot of those do that.
Yeah. Uh. Anyways.
So good changes.
Yep. Casting it turns off other Eldritch Blast styles. Turning on other Eldritch Blast styles dispels the aura spell. Not shocking
It's a
here.
complicated way to make that toggle happen, but fine.
I mean, it's what it is now, right? Same behavior.
Right. It's the same behavior. That's how you have to code it to make it work. Awesome.
It still cannot be used while in Knight's Transformation or Epic Defensive Fighting, but the ability to use the aura at the same time as the Master of Knowledge feat has been restored. In almost all other working as intended respects, the aura should work as it did before. So it should just fix bugs? Maybe some lag stuff?
Like I don't see a downside to this in any way, shape, or form. This all
Unless it
seems like
breaks.
upside. Well, even then, like we're just gonna have to deal with that for a while.
Yeah.
It's all gonna break.
You know what would be super cool while we're tinkering with this is if, and I know he's actually done some work on some of this, but if when you pick the aura, if it was like a multi-selector and you could pick your color.
So, I agree that would be really sweet, especially when we had like some of those things adjust or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to see a change. I would also like to see cosmetic auras that could get out of the store and change it. Like I feel like there's opportunities to
Kind of like a hair dye.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like to be able to change your aura or whatever. So like I feel like there's opportunities to interact with that. They just need to decide if they want.
Right. The Enervation spell now applies a negative damage over time effect. Cool.
I'm in. Bonus, I'm in.
Makes better. Makes both better.
I realized I'm doing a Death Domain Cleric right now.
Ooh.
I've literally, and I'm DC based casting. I've literally never cast the spell. Every time I go to cast it, I go, I'm not casting that. I'll just do a damage spell instead. So maybe it'll get back on the list.
So pro tip with the Enervation, and is Enervation the lower one or is that the level 9 one?
That's the level 4 one.
Yeah. And there's the level 9 one as well.
Yeah, that one applies to D4 negative level.
Yeah. And Wail of the Banshee. When you get into epics, and orange, you can't instant kill orange names, but you can still negative level them. and the hit point loss from the level drain can be really lucrative.
I just always find that the negative levels come back so fast.
They do, but they don't get their hit points back.
That's fair.
Like
I don't know.
when their max hit points drops and then it goes back up, they don't get the hit points back.
That's true. I don't know. To me, it just feels like it's become a spell, mostly because I play so much in Reaper. Like I basically only play in Reaper. It just has become a spell that's not as useful. I don't know if this negative damage over time effect will be the thing that makes it good, but it certainly doesn't hurt it.
Right.
Like it adds a thing to it that makes me want to cast it, and now I'm like, okay, well maybe I'll put it on my bar, maybe I'll do this, I'll do that. It's a change that will definitely spike it some.
I actually use Whale on my Bard all the time, not because I expect it to actually kill things, but because of the negative levels.
I mean, I just cast it because I like listening to the.
Yeah. Let's see. The following spells are now in spellbooks. You will probably recognize many of these from Epic Destiny spells that are no longer in Epic Destinies.
I don't know how I feel about this. Part of me loves it, and part of it hates it.
Because other people won't be able to get it, or
no. I feel like I always hate the idea that there are spells that the appropriate spellcaster can't actually cast in the game naturally. For example, like Tsunami here was a real spell, right? Like it's an actual spell, but you have to go and take it through the Epic Destiny, Storm Rage, Bombardment, as you read through these. I hate that idea that there's a thing that I can only do if I'm over there. Same thing with like Mass Frog. It drives me insane that I have to wait until like level 80 or 20, 28, whatever, same thing. And then I feel like it's never very good. So anytime that you can take these things and turn them into actual spells so I can fiddle with them and play with them and not have to be in a weird destiny for what my build is, I like. Like, I'm excited about those options.
So you're
glad they're bringing them in.
Yeah, these are going into. You like that these are going into the. Okay.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct. I like that. I don't like that they were harder for people to get access to. I like that they're coming.
Well, so Tsunami will be a level 9 Druid spell. Storm Rage will be level 8 Druid spell. Celestial Bombardment will be a level 9 Favored Soul and Cleric spell. I'm actually kind of excited about that one because I don't feel like I ever like looking at level 9 spells and those. I'm like, well, I guess I'll take this spell because I need to fill a spell slot.
So as a cleric, nice. Especially a pure cleric, you just have to take everything.
Right.
Which, and people who know me know that I like feeling like I'm making decisions. Having to take them all does not feel like a decision.
You get to decide what order you take them in. I tried.
No.
I tried.
But I will say that I've been casting, especially in Maybar, I've been casting a lot of like random cleric spells, including like Firestorm. I think that one's not level 9, right? But it's level 8. But there's like no real level 9 spells that aren't. I mean, you have Mass Heal, you have Instant Implosion.
I think you.
I literally can't think of any other spells.
True Resurrection.
The mass negative levels, whatever. I don't care. Yeah. That's on the. You get the scrolls. You don't get True Resurrection. You get a scroll. Well, once you have extra slots, then you can do it. But like, I don't even know what they all are. So having options, like, make them good enough that makes me fight over that and make me want to take your spell. That's what we're looking for. That's all we ever want. We want to have to like sit around and be like, do I take this spell or that spell? Do I use this weapon or that weapon? That's what we want.
They're also getting Favorite Souls and Clerics are also getting Divine Wrath at level 9. So you get 2 more options.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, baby.
Give us them. Yeah, man.
Insidious Spores will be a level 7 Druid spell. Arcane Tempest. Initially they said it was going to be a level 9 Wizard Sorcerer and a level 6 Artificer spell. Then they came back with some changes. They're going to move Arcane Tempest to a level 8 Wizard and Sorcerer spell and add it to level 6 Warlock. They said they were going to boost the damage. And then they came back again and said we're making no changes to the damage because they found out the damage is actually still 1d6 plus 6 per cast level, but because before this was an SLA, that overwrote the base spell's description, and the base spell has just had an incorrect description since forever, so They're just going to be fixing the description to match its current damage of 1d6 plus 6 and stop there. So, okay.
Hey, Patrick.
Yes, sir.
Weird and random aside.
Okay.
Thanks for doing this kind of malarkey. I would not have gotten through that. Like, that's like, we're not going to change things. We will change things, and this has been broken forever. So, you know what I mean? Like, having you go through this, this is what it actually matters. Doesn't care. You know what I mean?
I try.
We're
I try to do the
just
best.
going to fix it. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
This one is one that I like. They're also adding Rain to Bard level 6 and making the temporary hit points and lightning scale appropriately. Yeah, that's kind of fun. One of my new favorite things. You may now trade Tomes of Fate for Purified Eberron Dragon Shards. So that'll be great when that lands. I spent 2 years and still do once a week, but rolling a bunch of gold dice on other servers. And Tomes of Fate drop in there, and I have more than I will ever have characters.
I'm like, wow, what a weird problem to have. I can't understand that. That's a need, but okay.
You only need look. Here's the thing: like, if you have, I mean, I've been rolling on all the servers because the season pass, and then I've just been doing it once a week now since that's over. Because I've discovered that, by doing that, I've ended up with this stockpile of stuff on other servers that it's cheaper for me to transfer a character from those servers, at least until the stockpile's out, transfer a character from those servers to my home server and bring all the XP potions than it is to buy a pile of XP potions.
Oh my gosh, this is the most convoluted system to game the system. I'm like, just play one character and be done with it. You don't need all these potions, but okay, carry on.
Well, but if you have one character, then every time you get a Tome of Fate, you have nothing to do with it. So,
Patrick, every time that you spend money so I don't have to, I thank you again.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
But you should really thank other people because relative to other people, I don't spend that much.
Everybody who spends some money to keep the servers on and the lights on, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. The values of Assassinate DC bonuses found in items has increased significantly. That increase has previously been said to be the same as other tactics DCs, which I think is like a 10-point increase or something like that. Significant.
The thing is that Assassinate landed really well before, and now they're like going and making global changes so assassins don't just destroy everything. And then they go and they do this instead. I don't get it.
Left hand meeting the right hand, maybe.
I don't even know if they're meeting.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Secretly dating other people.
The Gnome and Deep Gnome trees, cores 2 and 4 now have correct icons. Apparently, they've had the wrong icon since they came out.
Great. So now I'm going to get lost
4 years
for the
ago?
hardcore. Thanks. Not know what anything is.
There's a new tab on the character sheet that contains your Epic Destiny abilities.
That's good.
I mean, I kind of liked it being in the Epic. I mean, that window's going away, but I kind of liked where it was, but whatever.
Yeah, but like making things clean and consistent and being able to zoom to where you want to go for that kind of stuff. So much of your build comes from Epic Destinies, you don't want to get something lost.
It's true. And we're going to have to find all the new stuff out of those trees, too.
Right. So, like, I don't remember what it was even, but there was some SLA that I was granted from the Epic Destiny. And then when I found someone was like, hey, by the way, you have this power. I'm like, what? No, I don't. And you finally find it. You're like, would have made your life so much easier. Like, this is a thing. Like, being able to find the data is important.
Yep. Here's some important stuff. All characters level 20 and higher at the time of update 51 will not be able to change feats with Fred until they perform any form of reincarnation. That could be lesser or true, or iconic, or whatever. You won't be able to change feats until you reincarnate. This is to prevent invalid build scenarios and situations where certain feats simply cannot be swapped. I did see some confusion on this, so I'm going to try to boil it down even simpler. If you're level 20 or more when update 50 lands, you cannot change feats with Fred until you reincarnate. Any reincarnation will work. If you are not at least level 20, you don't have to worry about this. only if your character is level 20. So, those characters, level 20 and higher at the time of update 51, will be granted a bound to character +5 lesser heart of wood. I still feel like this should be +20. These are some massive changes.
You're not incorrect. And I feel like they still have time to change it. Right now, they might just be setting the waters low to see what's going on. I feel like they've gotten wiser about that. It's always easier to add something else as opposed to take something away. So maybe that's what's going on here.
I mean, here's an idea. And tell me if this is a terrible idea. What if you got a token, and you could turn that token in? It was bound to character. You could turn it in for your choice of a lesser heart, or a true or a true heart instead, or an epic heart.
Yeah, so they just make like another cake, like a cake of whatever, and you click on it or however they want to do it, and you just turn it in. Oh, that's probably fine.
But then you
probably
can choose
less of a pain.
Which heart you use, right?
Yeah, it's probably less of a challenge than this thing. I don't know. Maybe the only other reason that in my mind, that they're like, okay, let's do a +5 instead of a 20, is like they feel like a lot of people are going to just have to TR anyway, like regular TR or iconic TR or whatever. Like they plan on just TRing after this update, and they don't want to give someone a +20 to like sit on forever. But I don't see that as a problem either. Like either way, the situation's the same, right? We're just trying to resolve the issue. So I think I would use your implement or put a +20 in. Either one, I think, is good.
I think if you let them pick which one they want, and then you're not going to sit on that +20 forever, right? If you're already going to reincarnate, you just.
I'm going to tell you that I have sat on some things for a long time.
No, what I'm saying is, if you had a token that you chose which heart it was, right? If your plan was to TR, you just use the token to get that heart and TR, and you're not sitting on that token forever. That heart forever.
Yes and or no, I don't know. You literally still roll on every server, right?
Only once a week.
You still go to you still go do this, okay? I still have the last +20 heart of what they gave us on one of the characters that I was playing heavily at the time. I still have it.
Only one?
Well, at least one. Like from characters I was still playing. You just don't use those things.
Yeah.
You don't want to use the healing potion before the final boss, because what if you need it in the final boss, Patrick? Right? Like that's Dungeons and Dragons 101.
Which is why I have so many stacks of crap that I need to use. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I'm the same way. Like I finally kind of started changing that mindset a little bit, right? Like buying the stat potions out of the store using the epic or the fragments, whatever they're called. Like using those resources up to make your gameplay a little easier. Mm-hmm. This is that thing. And you're saying, why don't we just make it better and use it up and be done with it? Like, because people are hoarders.
Well, here's an interesting question. Do you think more people would use a +5 versus a +20?
I have no idea.
Because I could see where
it's
people
completely different. It could be either way. Yeah. Right? Like, I have no idea. I don't have those stats. They might. They should. This is the thing, though. I'm going to put us on a quick tangent, and I apologize. They're sitting here spending all this time and energy playing with the reincarnation system adjacent, right? Tell me that you're taking the time to start tracking people as they level and be able to let people like copy their build back to 20, because you're spending time in this technology already, right? To back to 20 or back to whatever to follow the same path. Tell me that you guys are recording this now. Please.
It'd be amazing if when you hit level 20, there was an option to go talk to someone and say, please save this as a path. Put in name of path.
Or better yet, you just go /path save character name or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if you have to have a physical command to even make it happen, I don't care. I just would like record it.
Yeah.
You're changing all the feats. You're going in and playing with it behind the scenes. Take the time to record it. Like, and even if you're, and maybe they are, and maybe that's the thing, that, and we still aren't we don't have the ability to duplicate that or replicate our path. But man, just record it. get that recording, so maybe in the future we can have that capability. Like I don't know about you, but I am actually dreading the update just because I don't want to have to fix the 2 characters I play. I play 2 characters, and one of them TRs once a week. I have 1 character that gets played. I do not want to have to go through and rebuild that character. Like I finally have it working and it's doing its thing. I don't want to touch it. Like put it over there. And now it's like,
Yeah, I will. There will definitely be some Sundays where there's nothing going on and I'm watching football, and I'll pull up a character and reincarnate it so that I put it back together.
And then Patrick, now you're sitting there on that Sunday watching your football. You walk over like, I'll reincarnate real quick. Now I got a plus 20. I can build a whole new character. Now where'd my day go?
Let's get into the changes to the Destinies.
Okay.
So, start with Draconic Incarnation. I don't think I'm going to hit every single one because there were some that didn't have changes, so I didn't track them. But
we probably just want to stay top level anyway because I will get distracted. And we have plenty of shiny things for this squirrel.
Draconic Incarnation. Bring About Destruction, which is a rename. This is the one that gives you plus 10 spell power of your element and plus 10 universal spell power. It will additionally make your Eldar's Electric Surge, Nyax Biting Cold, Burning Blood, Enervation, and Venom concentration spells now stack 2 additional times. Which sounds really cool to me, but I really want to know why the Alchemist Venom concentration is the only one in here and not the other ones. Like, are they just good enough that they don't need it? I want to know why those are not included in here. I could understand why the Cleric one, was it Divine Light? Sounds right. That doesn't really seem to mesh in here. But I really like the idea these stack 2 more times. That sounds great. I would like to see that for pretty much all of the dot spells that you stack that aren't already stacking to 5. The Divine Light one, that should be in like Exalted Angel or something like that, but I would love to see more of that.
This is another thing that I will probably never use.
Really?
Dot spells, I just don't cast them. They just are so bad.
I do use the one for Alchemist that's in my element. But to be honest, that has about as much to do with the damage as it does its off cooldown in the rotation.
There's reasons to have things, but it just seems so bad.
Yeah. I mean, I'll still take this one just for the spell power, but yeah.
Sure.
Also in Draconic, the Destiny Mantle has gotten a small but significant change. Before, spells of the chosen element had a 25% chance to deal some damage. Now it will be offensive spells you cast have a 25% chance to deal that damage in the element of your Draconic Bloodline. This means 2 things. 1, you can cast any offensive spell to proc the mantle, which means that you can get the benefits of it even if you're not casting the specific element you've chosen. That will make it much easier to support 2 element or more casters, as they can cast whatever they want without worrying that they aren't getting the benefits. I like it. Secondly, this means that the mantle now works on Eldritch Blast without any of the previously planned extremely complex and tedious extra work. It's gonna work on Eldritch Blasts?
Allegedly.
That seems like a surprising choice to me. But that'll be that feels like such a nice boost to Warlock DPS. If you're doing a Warlock DPS, I feel like you're locked into this mantle. Like, that's not an insignificant amount of damage. 1d6 plus 6 per caster level. So
yeah, but it doesn't say that it scales. It doesn't say that it adjusts. I mean, I hope it will. I hope it'll do those things. Yeah, with spell power and metas or whatever. They're taking away a thing that definitely did, right? It definitely procced on those things.
I don't think it's changing how it applied that. It's just changing what triggers it.
I don't know. I kind of suspect this is going to be one of those things that that's just going to become a new damage. It's going to just be like 45 or 75
Mm,
damage all the time. You know what I mean? I don't think you're going to get like 400 points of damage or a number that feels significant deep into the tree. That's me. I haven't played with it yet. If I'm wrong, uh,
yeehaw.
I could be wrong. I haven't gone back to Lamania since the first preview, and I apologize for that. That's partly I've been working on a new office, um, but I suspect I have a feeling that that's going to end up feeling like a little bit of just like a trickle.
Maybe. I hope not.
I hope I'm wrong too. And if it fires off, like especially off of Eldritch Blast, right? That's a quick, right? Um, I also I'll throw in one other note. I've heard a lot of people telling me that the like magic missile spammer, like the spell spammer builds, will be back after this update, and stuff like this is probably why. Like if you can layer
Yeah.
4 or 5 or 6 effects like this in, then it becomes gross, right?
See, Sharadi.
Right. Well, that's just it. They took all that stuff
hold,
away, and now it
hold,
sounds like it's coming back
hold the
again.
thought on the Sharadi. We'll get to Sharadi in a minute because there's some changes there as well. Exalted Angel. Thanks to everyone who provided feedback on the notes since it wasn't in there. A big portion of the feedback was related to healing balance, some older abilities being removed, and concerns over healing having a viable path in the tree. They tried to address those for Preview 3, other than the Epic Moment, which does not work in this build, still in development, and the visual effects, also still in development, which I think is actually true of most of the trees. Should be playable. Let us know what you think. Changes from Preview 2. The Angelic Core, Angelic Charge, which is the Core 3, now has proper statting and functions closer to its live counterpart. You're able to leap through the air to bring the fight to your enemies or traverse chasms. It has a 9-second cooldown. Using the ability costs 10 spell points. Use of this ability to recharge at a rate of once every 15 seconds in private areas and 3 seconds in public areas. If you already have the Leap of Faith feat, it now recharges at a rate of 1 every 12 seconds in private areas instead. There's a little kind of Q&A here. Why the nerf on cooldowns on Leap of Faith tree? One of the consistent criticisms they've heard from live Exalted Angel for years is that the access to Leap of Faith diminishes one of the core features of Favored Souls. In order to help win some of that back, rather than cut the ability, they gave it a longer cooldown, so that those going into this tree can still get it, but those investing in Favored Soul have a better version. Okay, sure. Subtle Flame, rank 3, additionally gets +5 Fire, Light, Positive, and Alignment and Universal spell power. That's pretty good. Angelic Form now only has 1 rank and has gained a healing component and has been rebalanced too. Your fire spells have a 15% chance to deal 1d4 plus 4 bonus fire damage per caster level. Light spells have a 15% chance for light damage, and positive healing spells have a 15% chance for positive healing per every 2 character levels. The damage effects each have a cooldown of 10 seconds. That seems pretty good.
It doesn't seem like a negative, right? It seems fine.
Healing Pillar now deals 1d4 plus 4 positive damage per caster level. I believe that is down. It now has a max caster level of 5 and now counts as both a positive and cure spell. Again, why these changes? There was a concern, both from the players and the systems team, that the version shown in Preview 2 was too strong, especially for Tier 1 Splash. Yeah, that's kind of an understatement. Think what Rejuvenation Cocoon was back in the day when like everyone took it because it was really good healing for anybody. Make that like way better, and that's what this was. So this new version attempts to balance its power at about the level of a Cure Serious Wounds SLA for most characters, while letting the Cleric and Favorite Soul abilities that uncap or add max caster levels for healing spells do that for this one, making a potential viable choice on the high end for them. Sounds good to me. Bane of Undeath. Oh, did you have something you want to say there?
Well, I was just going to say that sometimes I feel like the solutions to the problems that they come up with are not the solutions that I would do, but they're workable solutions.
Sure.
This kind of feels like some of this to me. Like I feel like they want and they need a tier 1, like a twistable or a splash, however they want to word it, like healing ability. Like that's important. Same thing with meld, right? Meld important in the way the current metagame is played. And I feel like I understand that that's a problem, that this is a strong tier 1 splash. So maybe tweak some of the numbers a little bit. But I feel like this was a much bigger kind of like jerk around, maybe.
I do
So
like that
like
there's another, because you still have rejuvenation in Cocoon. So I do kind of like that there's
two
two
ways to kind of
options.
get a little bit of healing for
Yeah.
everybody. I guess that's true. Like it's nice that there's more. I feel like, especially in the world where healing others is more important than before, I don't want to see them nerfing too many of those ways for other people to easily be able to reach out and help out. That's all. That's a
The,
balance
the,
that we'll figure out over
that's a
time.
hard thing to figure out. How do you do that, but not
Make it completely
make?
broken.
Well, I was gonna say like um minimize or eliminate the need for a healer.
I don't think I
So
don't want to eliminate the need for a
right,
healer. I want to be able to help heal in the event of emergency. The
yeah.
number of times that, like, I've had to stop DPS or stop whatever it is that I'm doing and take on a healing role to assist the group where they're a particularly difficult situation where there needs to be 2 healers, like that happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So having that capability, sometimes that's going to be you. It's kind of like I say, everyone has to be ready to be your own first responder sometimes. It's the same thing. You have to be ready to hit the heal button or somebody's going to die.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that continues to reachable, because again, Cocoon, even if it's not necessarily like keep you alive in a particular encounter, right? But it'll help. It may make the difference,
Can pick you up off the
and that
floor.
and it'll pick you up off the floor afterwards. Exactly. Like if you can turn time into healing and still keep someone alive in the event of an emergency, then that's fine with me. I think that's a good, like Cocoon in particular was a really good way to add that healing. So I was excited to see this, and then it was so high. It was.
Well, I think I heard some people healing for like more than you can
I
get, like twice as much you get off of a heal spell.
I saw some big numbers
That's
being posted in some places, so like, yeah, we definitely need to roll it back, but maybe not. I don't know. There has to be a medium. I'm not the math number,
mm-hmm.
so we'll figure it out.
There could have been a really interesting thing there. Instead of just having a max cash level of 5, it was like a max cash level based off of your religion lore feats. That could be interesting.
Like that, or maybe the again, adjust off your level or based off of the class that you're in. Like if it's like got a cap of this many, if you're not one of these like X number of classes, you know what I mean? Again, they said that they allowed it to raise over the top once you're higher, which I think is good, but
Well, but not for a bard, and I have a healing bard, so my healing bard not super happy about that part
right.
of it, right?
So I don't know. I would like to see a really good way for somebody who decides to put a little bit of extra effort
Mm-hmm.
to be able to dip into there and feel good.
Yeah. Bane of Undeath no longer grants extra bonuses at every rank if you have the improved turning feat. Instead, has rank 3. If you have the improved turning feat, +3 to effective level for turn undead, +3 max dice, and +3 hit dice for turn undead. Blessed
I don't
implements
know
has
if it
been removed.
matters.
Turning, yeah.
Turn I'm doing that turn cleric right now in Night Revels, and there's a lot of quests. It's a lot of fun,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's just so many times it's just like doesn't do anything. You can hit that button 14 times
Not gonna kill it. Yeah.
and not going to kill anything, not going to hurt anything, not going to make them stand still. Thankfully, a lot more of the monsters stand still now than they did before, but like,
Yeah. Turning is hard. It's really niche, and you really got to go for it if you want it to work.
well, and I was talking with some people, but because there's still a cap on the turn undead based off of your charisma at a maximum of modifier +22, which is not really that hard to come by now.
Nope.
That means that there's a hard cap even if you're max. So like,
Yeah.
the math doesn't work out very well for the people who go into this all the way. Even those people are giving up on turning.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have a bigger bone than +3 maximum turn on dead dice. It's going to need to be like 15, right? It's going to have to be a ridiculous number. It can't be 3 because 3 is not going to make a difference. It's going to have to be bigger.
There's a new Tier 3 multi-selector ability, Noble Affinity. Your choices are a Sunbolt SLA, which is a 12-second cooldown, 12 spell points. A Flaming Spear SLA, which is a 60-second cooldown, 15 spell points. And a Mass Cure Moderate Wounds SLA, 9-second cooldown, 35 spell points. I don't know why you would pick the Flaming Sphere. I'll be honest.
Maybe it'll work.
Yeah.
Purity. I don't know. I think all these type of things should be multi-selector going forward. Make decisions count, but make them good.
I was gonna say, I was after there's another tier 5 what's coming up. I'll just say it now though. I'm not super hot on. I agree with you. Like multi-selectors are great in that case. I don't really like how these multi-selectors really kind of make you like you can either be a healer or a light DPS caster. I would like to do some of both. So I kind of
Why can't you do both?
Because I have to pick one of these two. Like I want both of those.
Well, that's part. Okay, that's a different problem. All right, I misunderstood what your problem was.
I want Sunbolt and Mass Cure Wounds SLA. I want them both.
Yeah, see, I like that it hurts because it's an interesting decision that actually affects your character. Like being able to have them both, it's just a matter of do I get one at tier 3 and one at tier 4? Like that doesn't matter, really, right? But getting it at tier 3 and you have to choose between the two, like that does matter. You know, like
this tree is doing is like it's not like Magus of the Eclipse, right? Is like focus on cold or focus on negative, right? This one is kind of giving you both, so like I kind of
but Exalted Angel hits clerics, like it's hitting things that are too like it's a complicated world. I don't think you get both.
Purity of Mind and Soul is now +5 or plus up to +15 to healing amp of all kinds. Blood and Radiance is now +10. Fire, Light, Positive Alignment, and Universal Spell Power.
I thought they were getting rid of the favoritism. Like I understood that they still have favoritism for light and positive and stuff like that. That makes sense, but I thought we were going to get rid of the
I don't
various like fire that you pick up along the way that makes fire just so much better than everything else.
So here's why I think I hear what you're saying, but they got rid of most of it because you don't have the fire feat. It's the only place you get the spell critical damage and stuff. Yes, that's in here, but you can also get very similar things in lots of other trees. And this is the alignments that's in here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I understand that there's alignments. I would, and I understand that fire is also important for divine spellcasters. Also makes sense. But again, I was under the impression that one of the goals of this rework of the system was to try to bring the various elements back into alignment with each other to reduce the variance on the one as being obviously better. Right now, fire is like an S class, right? So I don't know. I just, it was the first thing I noticed as we found one. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought they were taking these out.
I think it'll still be achieved.
Okay.
Because we're just talking about spell power here. We're not talking about critical damage. And if you look at the other trees, they all have spell power for, well, the ones that are relevant have spell power for various.
For all the other elemental types or whatever.
So you can get this for other places, right?
So it's not
Empyrean magic, which is giving like extra critical damage and stuff for 2 types of damage.
Right. Okay.
Let's see. Angelic Soul's damage absorption is now for all types except piercing, slashing, bludgeoning, negative, positive, repair, and bane untyped. Cool. I do appreciate that they did not make it so that your healing is reduced. Good catch, guys. See, the Tier 5 Sunbolt SLA is gone. It's in Tier 3, which we already talked about. There's a new Tier 5 multi-selector SLA. Again, I want both of these. Holy Fireball, which is cooldown of 9 seconds and 40 spell points. It's a ball of fire that detonates on impact, causing an explosion of light and flame that deals 1d3 plus 9 light damage and 1d3 plus 9 fire damage per caster level to targets in its path.
We couldn't think of anything besides Holy Fireball.
I mean, I love the name, personally. I'm a little confused because it seems like it's gonna like shoot through things as opposed to like it being a fireball.
I'm assuming it's a meteor, right? It's got to be using the same technology as Meteor Swarm. It just makes one.
Just makes one? I'd be okay with that.
I assume that's what this is, because otherwise it doesn't make sense to me off the description. Again, I didn't play it, so maybe I'm wrong, but...
The other one is Chain Cure, which is the same 9-second cooldown and 40 spell points. A powerful discharge of positive energy strikes a primary ally or undead foe for 1d6 plus 9 positive healing per caster level, and then arcs to other nearby allies and undead foes, hitting each of them with a similar bolt of positive energy, max caster level 20. This is considered a Cure Wounds spell.
This thing apparently is the bee's knees.
I mean, it's Chain Lightning for healing. Like, this
I don't know
amazing.
if that's supposed to be good. To me, that seems not efficient enough. It seems like the AoE healing, like not AoE as in the circular, like hitting a big area in front of you. Like that seems like more efficient to me most of the time. But I hear this thing is insane. Well, I haven't seen it.
So what I think this would do that the circle wouldn't is if you had people kind of spaced out for some reason, it could actually, arc in a much longer distance.
Does it do that far? I thought it had a pretty short range.
Well,
maybe I'm wrong.
It strikes someone and then arcs from them.
Right. But I thought that arc radius was not super long. But okay,
I don't know.
Maybe they just have it go an insane distance. I thought it was not super far.
I mean, I wonder if Enlarge works with it.
Maybe that would be good.
The distance. That would be sick.
That'd be kind of cool. Again, I like these kind of effects. Again, to me, this is something that you see in like a HOTS or some other kind of MOBA, right? These are very common, Chain Cure. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's something that could be really good in DDO. It's just those things are typically managed in those kind of games in the MOBAs by their distance. Right. Again, I was under the impression that this thing had a relatively short distance, but I had not heard like around corners and stuff like that. So it could be even more bizarre, like amazing than I thought, or it could be kind of medium. I don't know yet. But it sounds like the people are going on about it being amazing.
I'm excited to play with it. I think it sounds great. Blessed Water.
What about your Holy Fireball?
I know. That's why I don't like it being
Holy
a multi-selector.
Fireball.
I want both.
Not Smite of Flame or Vengeance of the Righteous. Holy Fireball. All right, sorry, carry on.
Blessed Water's bonuses have been clarified. It is up to +6 effective level for Turn Undead, 6 maximum hit dice, and 6 hit dice. See previous comments on Turn Undead. If you have the Font of Life feat, you gain +15 PRR and +15 AC.
I like those. I like the ones that are like the incidental pickups. Those are really nice.
Yeah, I really kind of wish they, like I said, I kind of wish they were doing more of that.
And also, to be really fair, too, though, turning non-undead, if you have the ability, like the effect, like what's going on right here, that's much more efficient than turning undead.
Interesting.
Like it's weird, but it seems to be true for me. I would say that it's easier to be an elemental type person and turn elementals than it is to turn undead.
Interesting. The last one, Tier 5 Metamagic Attunement 2 is now a multi-selector and no longer grants Empower Healing. You can choose between Empower Healing or Intensify. Whichever one you pick, that Metamagic no longer costs spell points. Cool.
I'm in.
Yeah. Fine. Fate Singer. A few abilities were moved around in the tree structure. Weapon Discord abilities got an extra stat added to their DCs, and now use stunning bonuses instead of evocation. That makes sense to me. Strength was added to Blade of Discord, and Wisdom was added to Arrow of Discord. The Wisdom one's kind of funny to me. There's a bard tree. But sure, it's fine. Court of Fate no longer lowers spell costs, but instead, if 3 are consumed before they restore 10 spell points, which is not working. Turn the Tide spell cost reduction reduces from 50% to 25%. All the spell cost reductions was getting a little out of hand. Yeah, people were getting like 50 spell point cost spells down to like 4 or 0, or it was insane. Bladesong now works with two-handers in addition to single weapon, dual, and weapon in shield. That's good. The Barbarians will be very happy. Reverberate got fixed, and the harmonic resonant proc chance was increased from 10% to 20%. Cool.
I have to say one other thing very quickly. The line, a few abilities moved around in a tree structure, is the single most positive thing that I've read so far in these notes.
Oh, really?
Which means that they're listening and they're adjusting. So that means they're hitting the feedback that you guys are giving them, and they're taking it into real consideration and moving stuff around. There's been times in the past where, as a longtime DDO player, I felt like I did mention that could be a problem.
Yeah, cuckoo clock. Yeah,
but
we'll talk
the fact that the devs are responsive to these things are very hopeful, and the fact that they're showing up in the notes like, "Hey, we're listening to you, and we change things," is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to talk a little bit about the process here at the end. Fury of the Wild changes from Preview 2. Helpless damage bonuses from the Mantle and Upgrade has been reduced by 15%. They're moving part of that damage to a general feat called Crush Weakness, which we've talked about. Boulder's Might has returned as an alternate to Fast and Furious. I think it was a cleave attack. So, Grandmaster of Flowers. Here's some changes, and these are maybe a little crazy. It might be a little crazy.
Monk could probably use a little bit of extra love, so.
But this is still going to be a little crazy. Like. Tier 3 abilities that are elementally aligned now double their Tier 3 bonuses if you're in the appropriate stance. So, Flickering Flame at rank 3 gives you plus 3 to hit and damage, and at the third rank gives you plus 25% fire absorption. If you're in a fired stance, the bonuses from this double. That would mean you would get a total of plus 6 to hit and damage and plus 50% fire absorption. Wow.
That's a long way up in the tree to get your absorption going again, though.
Here's the thing I like about this is I love how they're tying it into stances and monkiness, right? Which is one thing that I didn't like about this tree is I didn't feel like it augmented your stance very well. It seemed like doubling the absorption seems a little cool, great. Like, I'm all for it, but I'm a little surprised by that.
Well, again, though,
although it would require you to be in a stance, in a specific stance too. So
correct. So, like, for most people, it's going to be a 25% absorption if they go all the way up to Tier 3, as opposed to, like, what we have now, which is the Tier 1 twist for pick what element you want in advance and 50% off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it certainly feels like it moved up and it's got a little bit of a twist. The plus to, like, the damaging, the hit and damage if you're in the stance, like, I don't hate it. Seems like it's okay. I'm kind of, I don't like that it's necessarily here. Does it seem weird? I feel like it should go in the monk stance. So, like, being in the monk stance modifies this instead of this modifying itself if you also happen to be in a monk stance. It's the same thing, but it makes more sense in my brain on what should be modifying things, right? The Epic Destiny shouldn't modify monk abilities in my mind, right? Those are different things. But your class powers could be more effective with the epic Destinies. You see what I'm saying?
I think so.
Instead of the other way around. Like, it just feels better to me, schematic wise. But again, at the end of the day, the effects are what we're looking for, and these effects all seem good.
I still am not super happy about the mantle in the Grandmaster tree. I still want it to. If you're a monk, I don't feel like it does enough for you to feel like a mantle. So, let's see. The max dex bonus portion of the Air Tier 3 is now a flat armor class bonus. The tree's cores now apply +1 spell resistance per core.
Is that even enough?
Yay! I mean, it's more, but it's kind of laughably small.
Well, I mean,
So you get +3 spell resistance. That's not very much.
Well, I'm also just saying. So, what if, like, what's the biggest you can get right now? I think I had like
no
a
idea.
40 something, on like this last life casting the spell absorption, whatever the spell is called. I forget what it is. The big mass one. So, say I raise that 3 more, maybe I can get it to 50. Does 50 spell resistance even feel like it matters?
Not to me.
No, like I can't. That doesn't seem like enough to
Well,
matter at
+3
all.
doesn't feel like it matters anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't usually worry too much about spell resistance. I usually go more for spell absorption. Which, side note, it would be pretty cool if there was an ability that was like spend some key to get a spell absorption. Like you could stack up a spell absorption something. That'd be kind of interesting. Probably be really broken, but it'd be kind of interesting. Anyways, Inner Focus is now a multi-selector of Wholeness of Spirit, which you can activate to gain 20 D10 key, with down to a 120-second cooldown.
Ironically, I don't hate duplicating class abilities inside of the Epic Destiny.
Sure.
Does that seem weird? Like, I feel like I should
It's
have a problem with it, but I
not
think
a.
that.
I'm not sure what are you talking. What's it duplicating?
So it's basically the wholeness of spirit, right? So you can meditate to get your key back, and yeah, just your key in this case, right?
This is the clicky
That's
this is the clicky that's on live. Like right now in the cores, you
right, but
get
it's a monk power, isn't it? It's a monk ability. You get that so many
no,
times a rest. You
it's
can
in
just
Grandmaster. Oh, you're talking about the meditate thing.
yeah,
This
that's
is
what this is.
no, this
Is
is
it
in Grandmaster Flowers now. There's
okay?
a heal self clicky and a give yourself a bunch of key clicky that are on timers. So what I think my understanding is that they're combining those into a multi-selector here.
Okay, maybe I'm also going to say I haven't done a lot of Grandmasters lately, but again, maybe they have the similar ability for. Yeah, they do. Basically, they give you the ability to be able to do the recover key and stuff when you're a monk,
Right.
or when you're not a monk. That's why I like it. You know, if you're going to have key
Yeah,
related
you're not
abilities, I
wrong.
need you to be able to give key to people. So,
Of course, they'd have to be able to hold key, so there's a complication there.
I mean, it would suck if we could have a thing that lets us be in stance for purposes of managing key and using abilities.
Finally, the Tier 5 abilities that require specific weapons have been changed to ensure they work with quarterstaves. That would be the Daze and Critical Multiplier. That's probably appropriate since monks have a quarterstaff tree.
Well, I wonder if what like quarterstaffs are kind of okay-ish, but I wonder if they might actually be good.
Maybe.
No, because they'll just break now. They took away all the things that like basically made things don't break, or weapons anyway.
Legendary Dreadnought. They did not make significant changes between the two previews, 2 and 3, primarily due to finishing up Exalted Angel and some other necessary tasks. Much of the feedback was positive, especially outside the forums, but they'll be looking at how well it holds up power-wise against other Destinies. That already got changed. And there's gonna be some visual flair for the epic moment. I think that's kind of true of all of them. So here's some tentative plans. The Dread Mantle stops being an aura. Instead, it becomes your weapon hits apply 1 stack of terror on a 0.1 second cooldown. This tree is supposed to evenly balance melee and range, and as many have pointed out, the aura slants it way toward melee's favor. That's actually a really good point. I hadn't thought of that. Although I'm not sure I necessarily. I didn't know. I don't think I had the understanding that it was supposed to balance melee and range, but
Say
it's a good
that
point.
line scares me quite a bit, actually. As much as I had faith from before, this is like an opposite line.
Range can be pretty powerful.
It can be, but when your goal is to even out the balance, that's terrifying to me. That's like asking for stuff to go wrong.
I think what they're
Like
trying
what
to
just
say.
happened.
I think what they're trying to say here, though, is they're not trying to make melee and range equal. They're just trying to say that this tree is not supposed to favor melee over ranged.
Okay, that's different.
That's
Then
how I
that's a
took that
better
to
way.
be.
That's not how I took it at all. So I'm glad that you gave me a different way of looking at it.
I
I will
think
take
that's what
it
they're
your
saying.
way instead.
Which is consistent with what they're doing here. Instead of it being an aura that's focused around you, it applies to your weapon hits. So.
Yeah.
Combat Brute changes to while on the mantle, your weapons gain +1 W. Hey, I pointed this out last time because it used to be only when you were doing an action boost, and the Grandmaster mantle just was always +1 W. So, Dread is removed. Internally, they thought 30 PRR in the tree was too much relative to other trees, and with the Aragon, so goes the damage on Dread. Momentum Swing moves to Tier 3, replacing Dread. Lay Waste moves to Tier 4, replacing Momentum String. The reason why they're doing that, as many has pointed out, other trees now have AoE stun in Tier 4, so it made sense to bring Dire Charges down to match. I think that makes sense. I also, again, love that a bunch of different trees have CC options. Like, oh, everyone loses Dire Charge, but everyone has option. Like, a lot of those trees have options now, which is great. Well, it's not just Dire Charge. There's some flavor there. I love it. There's a near Tier 5 Crackdown. While you have any action boost running, +4 to critical confirmation rolls and +4 to critical damage. They opened other alternatives to this. I mean, I'll take the extra damage, but I don't feel like that's super convincing for me to take with as few points as I have. So, like, if you want me to take Tier 5s, need to be good for me to take because they're expensive to get in there.
I just feel like that doesn't feel good.
Not for a Tier 5.
Like, well, I mean, just in general, +4 to, like, while a boost is going is a nice additional perk. Like,
but that's
I
like
forget which
20 seconds on, like 30 seconds off.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, doing things via boost feel good, but a lot of the times you can just get like +3 to critical to hit and damage all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like, the fact that it's on a boost feels wrong. Like, I like modifying boost, but if you're going to do it up by a boost, I want it to be a big number.
Yeah.
So it really feels like impactful, as opposed to, again, like I said, normally you can just get this ability one less all the time. And it's like 3 action points now, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it just feels way out of whack for it to be a Tier 5 and be on a boost.
Here's a crazy thought, and this might be too much. But what if instead, while any action boost is running, +1 to critical multiplier on a 19 and 20?
That would be better. Like, that would be a worthwhile boost.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
it would make Legendary Dreadnought the only one that you could get +2 to multiplier on a 19 and 20.
Stuff like that sounds good. Like, things that make it stand out and really, like, this is why you're doing it. Like, the moment, this is, I think, part of it. And maybe I'm missing it. But when you're sitting down working on these Destinies, I feel like you want to have the thing that makes it sing. So what is it about Dreadnought that makes it sing? Well, you want that big hit, right? You want it to feel like you are the king of DPS. And if it's going to be on a boost, then by God, it better feel good. So I just think that this is not feel good land.
Yeah, I agree. Majesty Eclipse. Same note. Didn't get a lot of changes because of what they were working on. Regarding force damage, a lot of folks miss Magister's force focus. As they've said elsewhere, we do have plans for Forest and Epic Destinies in the future. But good points are made that many do play Forest casters now and would like to keep playing them between now and then. It's a good point. Here's what we're planning in the meantime to offer Forest support in this tree without it being Forest-centric. Arcane Tempest is being added in spells. Yep, already talked about that. They're planning to have Force spell power be added along with the other types of spell power in the cores. Lunar power and the lunar imbuement buffs, which would grant cold and force or negative and force, depending on which version you have. They're also planning on replacing Revel in the Night, which was fairly unpopular, with improved Arcane Pulse. Arcane Pulse now stacks to 7 times. See earlier comments about I like adding stacking things. Why are we not adding more stack? Like, add that to our Exalted Angel with Divine Punishment.
Yeah, let's.
This
feels so weird because this, like, I'm not the person that ever feels attacked on their builds. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know if you're that person. Like, oh, I can't show you my build or they'll nerf it. If you're that person, then I'm not talking. But I have never felt like they attacked my build before, and I feel like as the one person on the planet that liked Magus or the old Magus, I feel like they're really cutting it.
Magister, yeah.
Yeah, Magister. That being said, again, I feel like part of what we're just going to have to do is ride these changes out, and some things are going to be really good for a while, and some things are going to be amazing for a spike, and then after a few updates, a few patches, it'll level out. It'll be okay. I'm sitting there looking at this. I'm like, man, this feels bad compared to what we have, and that is not at all a good sign. If I go, man, I really miss what's on live, then this whole thing is, I think, a wash. So this one, I wish they would work on some more.
Here's kind of a weird way of thinking about this. I hear what you're saying. I like what they're doing with this tree. I'm not sure that it makes sense. I mean, I guess they're doing it because it's very wizard centric. Yeah, I guess the Force one would be Warlock centric, but here's the thing that's weird to this about me is, like, people are saying, hey, you're taking the Force stuff out, then we like the Force stuff, and the stuff that was in Magister that wasn't related to the DC stuff, which is why it's going away, is not coming back, but they're putting this other tree that doesn't feel like a spiritual successor to Magister at all. It feels completely different. And now they're kind of like trying to shoehorn some of that succession into it a little bit. It seems a little weird.
I almost wonder if the Shadow Blades coming in kind of hurt the Magister stuff, because a lot of kind of overlap floats in there, I think. But that was part of what made it so sweet, was that those things kind of worked together. So you almost, not quite, you almost had enough stuff that you could cycle through as a wizard and still be helpful in boss fights. You're not doing great damage, but you feel like you were at least helping, right? Bam, 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 pause, cycle, bam, bam. You know what I mean? And now I feel like those are all gone. So for the DC spellcasters, once you're killed all the trash mobs and your crowd control stuff, I feel like you're going to get to the point where you have nothing to do. And that is what I think, for me, that's what that tree did, was gave you the SLAs that you needed to keep functioning, or give you some boss DPS, even if it's not great. You know what I mean? And I feel like those things are kind of gone.
Well, they're not going to add a force line of spells or SLAs. Kind of proves your point.
Unless you want a dot.
Well, what's really weird is, like, this is not going to be a force tree. Here's improved arcane pulse. That just seems a little weird. I like what it's doing. Like, it just seems weird.
It just feels like there's a lot of good ideas here that need to, like, be shaken out. And again, maybe it just needs to be 2 trees. And they just say, hey, our 4th spellcaster tree will come out soon.
Yeah, I think that's what it really kind of needs to gear towards, right? Like, it needs to,
yeah, just get rid of it.
Let's talk about negative bypass. Many people have requested the ability to bypass negative damage immunity in this tree. While that request is understandable, they do not plan to offer immunity bypass here or anywhere else in Epic Destinies. For now, they intend to keep access to that in the heroic sphere and may offer other heroic sources of negative immunity bypass in the future. Seems completely reasonable to me.
That everything about that statement was beautiful.
I do kind of personally wonder if we may have like shot ourselves really bad in the foot with the bypass damage.
Oh yeah, you guys are completely spoiled.
Like I like that it's there, don't get me wrong, but I kind of wonder if what it should be is not like full damage, but like 50% damage to like still reward you for using different spells instead of being but yeah.
I personally hate bypass. I straight up hate it. Everything about it. I realize why it's here, and I realize that it's important for the game, and it's important for people to have fun. But I've always hated it.
It does too much to remove choice of spell usage and tactics
correct.
and mob variety, right?
Correct.
Like
so for those reasons, I personally have always disliked it. And it's the reason why I can't play Alchemist. Right? Like it's too good to like you.
I love Alchemist. It's fun.
Right, but I think it's too good. I got it. But
You're not wrong.
Bypass. It's the bypass. Bypassing is too good.
I think if it was you made them 50% damage instead of like the full damage, I think it would work fine. It would. I think that would be the medium. Anyways, let's not go too far down there, Admiral.
I hope that they do something for it because it, as a person who plays those kind of builds, it does suck. And as the person who gets yelled at, and I mean yelled at, you can go back and watch Hardcore Stir replays where like a undead monster is almost killed, and then I hit the wrong button because I misjudged my timer by half a second on the bypass, and then I heal it like 10,000 hit points or something, and then I get screamed at for 10 minutes, and instead I'm like, what are you worried about? Wait for my stupid spell to go off cooldown. Boom, boom, and it's dead. Right? Like, but it happens, and it happens a lot because it's so bad.
Yeah.
So
time stop.
Fix it.
Many people like time stop, but were concerned it was too short to be useful. They tentatively plan on making the paralyze a little longer and making the boss helplessness portion somewhat longer, but also reducing the amount of helpless damage they take to compensate. That sounds great to me. It was only 6 seconds, which is really short, especially compared to the other ones. I like everything about that statement. Like, make bosses take less helpless damage, sure. And make it longer, I love it. Love it a lot. Let's do that. Primal...
I can't usefully comment on this. I feel like this all seems... I've seen people use it. People are very excited about it. 6 seconds seems like a long time, to be honest.
Well, if you're doing an extra... base 50% plus like another 30 to 100. If you're doing like 80 to 100% extra damage on a boss for, 6 seconds is a long time to get a lot of extra damage.
That's what I'm saying. Like 6 seconds feels like a long time, but if you activate a boost, then there's 2.4 seconds or some shite. Like
yeah.
Those things all add up. So maybe it does need to be a little longer. I would have to like that. That is a number crunching nightmare.
But it's also a fun tactics exercise, right? Like, okay, everyone boost, hitting time stop in 3, 2, 1.
Well, that's what I mean. For the devs, it's got to be
time. If you can coordinate like everyone being ready for that time stop to land.
Oh yeah,
to maximize it, like insane. That's great. Like I like that kind of a thing, but.
I just feel like the math to get the balance correct, this thing is either going to be broken or useless. That's what I mean. Like the nightmare is real.
Yeah, I hear you.
I honestly feel like the time is probably going to have to shift based off of something.
Yeah, they'll get it dialed in eventually, but Primal Avatar. So Primal Intensity has become nature's reach. This is the 15 universal spell power. It reduces the cost of enlarge by 9. Improved form has become Evergreen, which is plus 100 maximum spell points, and the rank 3, the Mantle of Nature now has a chance to grant 100 temporary spell points for 60 seconds. It's fun. Primal allies' casting speed has been improved, and they no longer waste time on melee range attacks. I think those are the ones that are turreted, so that's probably good that they're not wasting time on melee attacks. Primal allies' heart now casts mass regen on creation and will heal their master once every 8 seconds if they are below 75% health. That's really cool.
Let's say so far, all these seem good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they all seem pretty.
The primal ally Thorn now has Carrion Swarm and will cast it aggressively to keep up stacks. Great. First Core now grants magical training. That's probably also good. And primal allies now last 25 seconds, and the cooldown was increased to 20 seconds. Either just means that they last longer.
On the plus side, we figure out who gets all these stack spells. Put them on the allies. Put them on the summons. Let them put stacks on. Let them get multiple stacks. And don't cap their stacks. Let them keep going crazy. Maybe summons will eventually be able to do some damage. Can you imagine? All right, everybody summon your thing over here. Then we'll go fight the boss over there. They'll stand over here. They'll just all put dots on them. And then after 5 minutes, it'll take 10,000 points of damage every second. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? Just let them have them. Let them feel good about themselves, the summonses.
Shadow Dancer. This tree had no functional changes from Preview 2. However, they are thinking about adjusting Meld and Dark Imbuement to be an active attack for both melee or ranged. That will automatically apply the expected buff. We think that will help these abilities feel that they're part of a rotation instead of just a buff to click. Seems fine to me. I mean, even if you just want to click, like, you can just click the attack to have it apply to you. As long as you don't have to hit something, I think it's fine. Shirati. All right. So, Shirati landed in a good place in Preview 2 for a lot of people, but was generally overtuned due to a scaling bug and rebalanced damage numbers working in tandem. In addition, the systems team had concerns about how the procs balance against other trees' mantle abilities. As a result, there are a few major changes in this preview. Prism, Stay Frosty, and Say Good, and the damage during Inexorable Advance now have a short cooldown of 0.1 second. They don't necessarily expect this change to be popular, but they currently feel it is necessary to hit several goals, including retaining most of the damage and all of the proc chance from Preview 2, maintaining balance versus other Destinies, and to a lesser extent, ensuring they don't encounter performance issues. They are aware of the impact this has on missile spam builds, but ultimately would rather have this tree land as beneficial to a lot of character types that need to nerf it heavily for most character types in service of supporting a single kind of build, missile spam. This might kind of speak to what you were talking about earlier.
It's fine. You know what? We'll just all play Magic Missile builds.
That's what this is getting away from.
No, we're all. This is what's going to happen. We know what it is. I don't know.
Note that Double Rainbow does not have that cooldown at this moment. And then I think all of the damage was. I don't know if I want to go through all this damage. The damage has all kind of been decreased. Yeah, the damage.
That helps.
Yeah, really what it is, it's whatever that plus number is, that's what's going down. It's still 1 to 3 D100 damage. So that's what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know if the cooldown of 0.1 second it'll be enough to like stop the spamming on its own. Reducing the damage slightly will probably help. It'll still probably feel okay. These seem good on math right now, but again, it's all these things are going to come down to weird math numbers that are going to have to get tweaked. So,
especially once we get playing with it,
try to have some patience because this is the biggest change, right? We just have to keep that in mind. Things are going to change. It's going to balance out. This will be good. This will be bad. It'll be okay. probably right after Hardcore Server Season 4 is done.
Season 5? Season 5.
Whatever season's next, I don't know.
Change from Unyielding Sentinel. The biggest change here was Harden now increases the mantle protection by 10% instead of 5%. Woohoo! I think that's the damage reduction in probably in tier 5. So less damage for tanks. Great, love it. Let's see. There was some talk about AP action point reset cost. Steelstar wrote that there is a bug caused by a bad interaction between the live Epic Destiny system and the enhancement system. It appears that all of your points spent across all Epic Destinies drives the reset all cost up when you're resetting your enhancements. That said, they're currently scrapping that system, and the bug does not occur with the new system coming in Update 51. So good news, we fixed it before Update 51.
Did they fix it?
Well, if you don't have to pay the extra cost.
I just feel like fixing it is different than we destroyed it and we have a new thing that's not bugged in that way. I'm just saying.
I mean, from a user perspective, you're going to spend less, so it's fixed.
Maybe functionally the same, but technically not the same.
So on the bug front, that's all the kind of the game news. Looking at some other stuff, there was a information about a bug, missing range shots. Steelstar wrote that they have a theory about why this is happening, and happening more frequently in recent years. If they're right, specifically about the interaction between homing angles and the precise shot feat with improved precise turned off, the key components are all working as designed, but it means there are cases where you fire arrows and they do not hit your intended target or any other target, offering no feedback in the process. We're hoping to do some further investigation post Update 51. So, there you go.
So wait. Good news, we're still looking at it? Maybe? We hope to look at it in the future. Right?
Yeah.
This is what they said. Good news, everybody. We're going to fix it in the future, maybe.
Wait, they didn't say good news.
Yeah, well, okay. So I added good news.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, it just feels... This is bad. The range shot stuff, after all the work, it does feel really bad.
I have not really played ranged a lot recently, so...
Really?
Not really.
Did you get a chance to try Horizon Walker out at all or anything? Because that's why I tried it.
So I reincarnated a character, my ranged build, to rebuild him and use Horizon Walker, and I was going to run with someone, and life happened for both of us, and we just haven't gotten...
That's fair.
Haven't figured it out yet.
I said I went through the Horizon Walker, and again, it's difficult when you're the personality trying to show off these things, right? This is really cool. Look at this. But like every third shot doesn't land.
Yeah.
Like if there's no feedback, it's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's really hard to demonstrate and show people and be like, hey, here's the cool range thing. And it just feels bad.
Right.
So I'm glad that they're working on it. I wish they could have used something a little bit more confident than we're hoping to do some further investigation. But I understand that Update 51 is taking over the universe for them, and
at least
that's the closest time frame. Right. So I got to give them some grace. I appreciate that they're looking at it and they're tossing around some ideas. Gives some hope that it can get fixed, but it's a pile of feel bad.
They have a theory, which is good.
Yeah.
It's better than they have a theory.
I said good news, everybody. Mm-hmm. We have a theory, and maybe we can look at it after Update 51.
Bonus days through tomorrow morning when they turn it off. Plus 10 Treasure Hunters boost, along with a plus 5 Reaper XP boost. The sales for the week: Honor Your Guild, 20% off of Astral Shards, Guild Renown Elixirs, and 50% off of Guild Charters and Guild Airship Beacons through October 28th. The coupon code is a free elixir of spooky luck. The coupon code is Get Spooky through October 28th. Before we go on to not game news, two things I want to talk about briefly. One is Night Revels, the changes to Night Revels. I am really loving the change to have the champions, and just like doing normal questing gets me keys. I love it. I haven't had to farm keys at all. I have plenty of keys. I love this change so much. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Um, I feel like having special events both feel special and not impact your gameplay is a hard challenge.
Mm-hmm.
This change for Night Revels is very much in line with that. Like it lets you feel like you can still go and do special things and yet still get some at least benefit while you're doing.
It takes the grindy
It's
part out of it, like the get the keys part out of it,
right.
which I
It
appreciate.
feels like it might be a little bit too heavy of drops. For the keys outside of the event and not very good inside of the event.
Oh, yeah, I think
Which
you're right.
which I have a problem with. I think
Yeah.
that's what's bothering me. Because, for example, again, I built this cleric to do the Night Rebels, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did all the math. I figured out what it does, and I wanted to try to like push that. And I feel like if I go in 5 levels over solo, I'll get the one key that'll drop in the quest. But that's what happens,
Yeah.
right? I feel like at the very least, if you do the entire quest, put a bloody chest or key in the last chest. Right? That doesn't seem that impossible. Or make that increase
Are
that
you
that
talking about in the graveyard area?
correct. When you
Okay.
go
Yeah.
to run the quest, that this is my problem. The fact that the champs drop the keys, great. I like that. But inside that quest, it feels like I earn one key a run, basically. Which does not feel very
Your luck
fun.
is terrible.
It I I streamed it. I streamed a thing. We did 90 minutes of running.
Wow.
And after 90 minutes of running, everybody had a thing to do a key or to do all of them. I was somehow one short.
Huh. Or were you doing it in a
And we
group?
were I joined a group at that point and
Mm.
started running. And some people got several and some people did not. But again, in that 90 minutes, I think we got again enough keys that we could all run through all the things one time. And it was taking us like 4 minutes a run, I think, when we got down to the end of it. Like when we got
Right.
all efficient and figured it out. So, like, how many runs did we do where somebody got no keys? Like, more, like some,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So, like, I think it's not only the level spread math is weird. We've definitely figured out that you have to be within 5 or 10 levels of everybody else this year if you'd
Okay.
like to get materials. Um, it didn't. We basically like added a new person every time until we figured out what the level kind of like worked in. Um, but yeah, just there's some little changes like that that don't quite feel right, but feel okay because you can leave and go do other stuff and get keys. But I want the special thing to feel special when I go to do it. And it feels like if I can run through that and not get a key, it doesn't feel very good. And if
Yeah.
it disadvantages me
To be in a group.
the, to be in a group, right?
Yeah.
So the thing about an MMO is I want to be able to play with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can't play because it's not good for us to play together because it's a not efficient use of our
Mm-hmm.
time, then we can just sit on Discord and do something else, right? So
Mm-hmm.
let us want to play together. I don't know. It always bothers me where you do something like this to generate keys, and you get a bunch of people with you, and you
Less
earn
keys.
less rewards
Yeah.
overall, but not just on an individual basis, but on the whole group. That feels wrong. So I would like to see something like that changed in the future and kept in mind when designing these events going forward. That being said, if you take the key farming part out of the Delirious Graveyard quest,
They did.
all the rest of the stuff is perfect.
Yep.
You take that one complaint out, everything is great.
And that was kind of my lowest point on the event in the years past. Is the key farming is dull and boring and grindy.
It can be. It really can be. But if you get it down to 4 minutes a run, right? You're running like a 50% XP potion. Let's pretend you're not. Okay.
Well,
But
but
you're like
I
I
want
am.
to be efficient about it though. I wasn't finishing it. I was just doing the first couple groups of mobs by myself.
Oh. I didn't even know that was a like I didn't even think about trying to make that a thing because I feel like I
Yeah.
don't get a key until like 3/4 of the way through the
No,
quest.
to do like I would maybe kill the first mini boss and then I'd leave.
Okay, I haven't tried
And
that
I would do it
strategy. I might try it.
alone and just nuke all the stuff, right?
Yeah, I might try it and see if that seems efficient.
That was the
Um,
most efficient I ever could get it to be with key farming. But like I said, like it's a because I had to do it by myself and not complete the thing that I was doing, it always felt not
it
right.
has some feel bads,
Yeah.
right? All right, so just real quick though, without an XP potion, you're talking about around 5,000 experience a minute by running that quest. And of course, if you were to multiply that by 1.5, you're actually talking more like 7,000 experience a minute. So even if you're not, if your primary goal isn't getting keys, which for me as a TR, I'm not, right? I'm level 28. I'm getting some experience out of this. Um, it's still a good use of my time. It is still boring. It is still repetitive. I can't put up an LFM, which is the thing that I want to do, right? I want to get people watching the stream, playing with me, doing stuff. So I can't do any of that. So that means
But now you
if
can
you
just go
want to
run other
do the
stuff.
special, if you want to do the special event, the special part of it, you can't do that. So it's nice that they made it where you can do everything else, but I still would have liked them to be able to make the special thing feel special.
Yeah. Here's the other thing I wanted to touch on, which is I wanted to take a minute to talk about the preview cadence. Uh,
Okay.
I have seen like I have a perception that they are iterating, they are taking people's feedback at a fairly decent rate. Having
I
said
feel
that,
like that's almost fast.
I think that's not the predominant feeling, and even with me saying that, it does feel a little rushed. And I think with this big of a change, I think what would have been better for them to do, what I would have liked to have seen, and what I think would have given them more time to make more iterations and incorporate more feedback. It's that I think they should have had 3 or 4, even 4 weeks in between each preview.
I like that they're coming quick. I like that they're fast and furious. I think that they need to probably not be done. I think they need to be
Yeah.
like, okay, we haven't, this thing, this is, slow it down, do some more.
Or maybe
If you,
maybe better. Here's kind of a mix of maybe of both of those things. Like have the still 2 weeks cadence, but have more previews, and say, okay, for this preview, we're gonna focus on iterating on these 3 destinies.
correct. That's exactly what I was going to say. Is pick three, tell them that's what you're going to focus on, and be like, all right, this week we're going to work on this and make sure these are balanced and working, ready to go. Make sure that we're reporting, focusing on these because I just feel like it's so fast.
Yeah. Well, and I think the issue here is that it's not. It doesn't feel like. I think because of how fast it's going and how much there is. I mean, for crying out loud, there's 12 epic destinies at the same time.
The most
There
popular system in Dungeons and Dragons history. Dungeons and Dragons online history.
reincarnation might be more popular, but
No, it might be more used. It's certainly not more popular.
fair
People
enough.
love their epic
That's
destinies.
fair.
They love it.
But I think the amount of stuff that they're iterating on at the same time, they're not able to be as nuanced and nimble and fast on iterating on making changes. And I think that a lot of the response that they're getting of you're not listening to us, I think at least part of that is, and they even acknowledged it here, that we're not making changes to these because we're working on other things. I think it's too much for the team to be iterating this fast. And I think if they had given themselves more time and less focus or more focus each iteration, I think players would have a better experience through the preview process.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell what things could have been, right? All
Right.
we can do is kind of look at what we got and how it's projecting and what we think in the future would be like. So I feel like in the future, I like that they have like a 2 week cycle. I would like them to be a lot more narrow in their scope on what they want you to hit and target things. And if that means that they need to limit the build capabilities on Lamania to what they want to focus on, then I'm okay with that. I
I mean,
don't
I
love
think
it, but
they
I
could have
get
left
it.
them all up there, right, and just said, "Hey, between this preview and the next preview, we're only going to iterate on these 3 or 4 epic
And
destinies."
and I think that level of communication or something would be really good. And I think the like, hey, a quick ratio of every 2 weeks or whatever they decide to go with, I think is fine as long as there's a good pattern to it. So you could be like, hey, these things did work or didn't work. We have a week to play with it. Here's an updated version. Here's another week to play with it. Here's another version out until we get what we want for
Mhm.
those 3 things, you know? And then you can do the next ones and then you can compare how those all feel together. When when they said they were going to do this, I kept thinking, oh, well, it's going to be sometime between like right before Christmas that this comes out, right? Like I figured it would be in December. Like we were going to have a dozen previews. I think if you go back and look at the first stream of DDOcast after they announced this, I think I said somewhere in that ballpark. And now it's like what next week?
I think probably they said early, Jerry said early November.
Yeah, I feel like I heard a whisper of the fourth from Jerry, but now maybe it's not. That's like way. That's a huge change. This is if it was not for the graphics, in my opinion, Update 51 is DDO2 minus graphics. It's that level of change. You're talking
Sure,
about the entire metagame after level 20
it's changing.
being completely different,
Well,
right? So like you're talking a huge thing. The most I keep saying it because it's true. The most popular system in the game, right?
yeah,
You can't screw it up.
nope.
It can't be completely broken out of the box. It has to be good. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think it's going to be fine. As much as I sometimes question the decisions from the devs, I trust them. Like the game is fun. If it wasn't fun, I'd stop playing it. Like I working on this room, right? I usually don't take time to play Dungeons and Dragons online unless I'm streaming it. Right? It's just a sad habit of the streamer. But
Right.
I was working on this, right? And I needed time for paint to dry or hang some pictures and stuff like that. I played for fun for the first time in quite a long time over the weekend working on this. I always have fun, but part
Right.
of what I do is I put it out for the audience. This was me personal private time.
Mm-hmm.
And the devs that are working on this update are the same devs that made it where I can do that. So I trust them and I believe in them and I have faith in their abilities. But I just want them to like when I say, "Well, hey, what about this?" I want them to go, "Oh, well, we thought about that and because of this reasons." You know what I mean? Is this, instead of feeling like they're rushing through something because someone picked a deadline arbitrarily 6 months ago and said, "Well, we're going to have this update done by the middle of November. Before Thanksgiving, it's going to be done."
I think
And
there's
that's just terrifying to me.
there's one thing I would add on to kind of what you're saying that's would actually be even worse than if it's broken and it falls flat. And that's if players don't buy into it.
Well,
It
that's
could
part
it
of it,
could
right?
work it could work perfectly, but if players haven't bought into it, then it's never gonna it doesn't work. And I think that as fast as they're iterating, and a lot of the changes they've made are pretty small. Like they don't feel to me like like they're not like scrapping a whole tree and like reworking it or something like that. Now they did some fairly big changes with some of the epic moments and stuff like
I
that, but
feel like a lot of these are basic. Like a lot of them feel like that level of change, Patrick.
okay.
Some of them feel really, really big.
But like from
Um,
but the I think players would be having a better experience with this preview process on this huge change for these really important things if it wasn't every 2 weeks that they were iterating on everything, and it's super
Right.
super clear and obvious that they don't have enough time to iterate on all this stuff because they've literally said that in the posts.
Yeah, I agree. It would be nice if they could narrow it down, slow down, take the extra time, make sure that it's right. Because I'm gonna get a little bit soapboxy and scary for a second, but a lot of other MMOs have taken a really big leap in player base lately. And a lot of the DDO community has joined these other games, which is not uncommon for DDO. DDO is very much like a seasonal game. Comes in, people come and go, and that's totally fine. That's always been the case with MMOs. But there's something different right now. Like the people who are moving off of DDO are the people that I would not expect to leave. Like long time, full time players, people who are that put in hundreds of hours and literally thousands of dollars, right? Like I feel like this is a time where they have to just be so careful because if the update comes out and people flip on it a little bit or they don't care for it very much, it's an opportunity for those players not to come back and just be like, this was our out. This is our reason that we're done. And I'm a little bit concerned because the game is such a quality game. I've been playing some of these other games, and there's a lot of things that DDO does way better than any other game, infinitely better. And then we stumble on these little things that just don't make any sense to stumble on, and I don't understand why we hiccup on this stuff. Um, and it's so hard because I mentioned earlier that I have so much faith in the devs and especially in the passion that they've been showing to us lately, which is a really nice thing. They've really been stepping up the communication with us, the audience. But at the same time, it's just, again, it's fast. There's so much writing on this. There's a lot of trepidation in it. And I hope that they feel a lot of us going, hey, we need to kind of slow down a little bit and make sure that this is correct. And I think that's what a lot of people are trying to say, including Patrick, including myself, that, and maybe I don't want to speak for you, but I feel
No, you
so fast,
yeah.
man. And I'm legitimately afraid because I have been walking the line of leaving DDO, not leaving. I don't want to say leaving, but not being a primary DDO person, right? Like it goes back to Samus plays it for fun and then streams some other game. And I thought about that when they gave the free quest code away, the previous one, which I'm very excited they gave it the next one away. I thought that was very cool, but I still don't feel like my VIP subscription is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that feels like a negative. It's hard to play with people. Like all this stuff's going to change. It could be a real watershed moment. But
Yeah.
on the flip side, there's an opportunity for this new game, right? With the new balance and the sins of the past, basically, I don't want to say forgiven, but at least improved on, right? And if they can in the next year do something with the graphics, we're competing again, right? The game is outstanding. The gameplay is good. We have some issues. We have some arrow stuff. We have some lag issues. We have some buffs. Like it has issues, but we're 15 years old and it's still good and exciting and fun. So I'm sure the devs already feel like there's a ton of pressure on their backs. And they are, and they should, and you do. But I believe that they can pull it off as long as they take the time. And I feel like I will continue to harp on take it time. You don't have an arbitrary date for me, right? Listen to the feedback. People are posting on the forums like crazy. Apparently, the Discord is way more efficient for actually having your voice heard at the moment. So maybe find the DDO Discord, but don't turn that into like a complaint section. Talk with people and be respectful, which I think is part of the issue that we have with feedback. But you guys, there's not very many times in a game's history where it could just flip or change and mutate in a way like this, right? And we're the people who keep the lights on. The turbine's old slogan was powered by the fans, right? Even though they don't have the slogan, it's still true. So without us, they're nothing. But without them keeping the lights on and the game on, where are we going? Someplace else? So we have to be careful with each other. And like I said, it's a weird time. It feels weird, like between everything that's going on in the world, which we're not going to get into, but just the things that are going on with MMOs and people, the trends of wanting to stay more at home and do more stuff online. Like the world of MMOs is ready to explode, and DDO is ready to capitalize on it. We've seen ads on Facebook again for the first time in years,
which is fun,
right? Like it's the most exciting time since the dread time of Menace of the Underdark. You know what I mean? Like you knew that the thing was there. It was going to be this amazing thing. We had this major thing that was going on, but it was so secret, as opposed to now where we're getting to see it and touch it and experience it and help drive it. And the mistakes that were made then because we couldn't see it can be avoided now, as long as we can communicate in a way that our points actually get across. And that is the most difficult thing in the world when you're trying to do it over text.
Well, and again, I think a lot of people are having experience of they're not listening to us because you go from preview 1 to preview 2 and half the
changes.
Destinies didn't change because they didn't have time to touch them.
Right. Slow it down, do some more. I can't think of another way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Take your time. This is a big gamble. This is practically DDO2 in my world in the scale of scope. And I could be wrong, and they could be like, no, Sam, it's not that big of a scope. But it feels that big. It's what feels like 80% of the game is over level 20.
I mean, that's where you spend more of your time, I think.
Well,
I certainly
do. Not me.
All right. Before we get into community news, 2 more things to mention. Night Revels is going through November 2nd.
Correct.
Which basically means when they reboot the server on Wednesday, that's when it's going to go down. And you mentioned the code DDO free quests. I think I have that right.
2021, right? Is that what it was?
It was DDO Quest 2021. Jeez, we should look this up.
Yeah, I'll look it up right now to make sure we tell the right thing.
Yeah, but the coupon code is back for free quests. Even if you did it the first time it was out, do this one because there's more content in it. It's for free. Everyone should turn it in. Make sure you turn it in. Make sure you have the email.
Do it on your alt accounts.
Yep. All that fun stuff.
Do all the things. Yep.
Make sure you turn it in. That is through December 31st, I think. Yeah, because I remember thinking about
Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
I found it. The coupon code is DDO Quest 2021.
There we go. Through December 31st. I won't be shocked if it works on January 1st, but I wouldn't plan on it.
Not at all. Just take the time and do it at your leisure between now and Thanksgiving.
I was going to say Christmas, but yeah.
Either one.
Get her done.
Pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to be sitting there doing Black Friday stuff anyway, right? Just be done.
All right, let's get some community news and then wrap up. The 444th Chronicle was this week. Team Standing Stone Games is raising money to help sick kids. This is this year's Extra Life. It will look very similar to what it has in the past. The goal is $20,000. If you are unfamiliar with Extra Life, basically it's gamers doing stuff to raising money for children's hospitals.
Correct.
And the last couple of years, I think Standing Stone Games has raised the most for Boston Children's Hospital. But it's that time of year, so if you can give, please do. Kids are sick. Kids need some help. It helps the families.
That never changes.
Yeah. But also, what doesn't change is gamers are kind of awesome
They
and
almost always
raise
are.
raise a lot of money for kids. I think
I,
on the first day that this was up, I think they'd already raised $6,000.
I think so. I
So
think Strimtom raised almost $2,000. I think already.
yeah,
So yeah, lots of people stepping up in a big bag way, and that's always amazing to see.
and there are the usual incentives with Saints Home Games, so you can go to that. We'll link to it, everything, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I threw it in
Show notes.
the. Oh, I guess that wasn't that. That was the
That was the other
thank
thing.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strimtom has your beginner basics, so you can check out his first video looking at which class to play on his YouTube channel. Uh,
What did he decide? Do you know?
I do not. I don't. I can tell you what I would recommend, which would
Yeah,
be
I was gonna say,
Paladin.
what would you do?
Paladin.
Paladin? I used to do Paladin too. I used to say Paladin, but I think now I just say Cleric. I think clerics are in a really interesting spot. You can do whatever you want for
The
basically nothing.
I don't generally recommend unless you just generically. I think people have different ideas of what they want to play, right? So first off, play what you want to play, right? Having said that, there are some things that are more complicated, more difficult. Um, the thing with cleric and favored soul is people expect you to heal, and when you're starting out, not having a bunch of spell point potions, having to get wands, scrolls, that can be a little expensive, and that can be a little hard to manage until you get a lot of cash. Unless you find a very nice benefactor to give you a bunch of money. So that's a thing. But Paladin you can make a good melee or ranged Paladin, and it has onboard healing, works with a lot of classes or a lot of races and stuff like that. So I would not recommend Monk or Alchemist because they're
Yeah, I wouldn't
kind of
recommend those either. Again, like I said, I usually recommend the cleric class now because of the same reasons that you just said about the paladin, right? With the exception of you could add a couple more options to it. So you're a lot of a lot of people that I've experienced when they're new, they pick one character and they play it a lot, right?
sure.
And then they don't necessarily want to have a second character until they have a what they consider like a little bit of experience. The advantage of a cleric is that the same cleric can be a melee, can be a spellcaster, can be a ranged with a little bit of spell tweaking or like spell list tweaking or a little bit of like enhancement point spending. Like it's very flexible on what you want to do. So it allows you to basically try almost everything that's available in the game, like as an archetype. Try everything with the cleric, and then your second character can be whatever you want. So it's the character that lets you experience the most things with one character. So that's why I always recommend it. Um,
If
but
that's what
Paladin
you're
is a
going
strong
for,
second.
I would actually say Artificer or Bard.
So
Although
part of the reasons that
Artificer
I
is cost money, so
well, that's why I was going to say that's the reason I don't recommend Artificer, for example, is because it's behind the paywall. But if you're looking at like the free races and the free classes, in my opinion, you pretty much can't beat like a dwarven cleric for your first character.
sure. Yeah, it's a good place to go. There's lots of good options there. So
There's so many, right? Like Ranger's really solid. Paladin, as we mentioned, is really good. Stay away from Fighter, Rogue, any of the arcane spellcasters for your first character.
learn the game and then learn the more complicated bits
Correct.
of
And
building.
again, that's I think the reason why I think that the cleric is so good, right? It's a
Sure.
platform that lets you learn all aspects of the game pretty easily.
The good news is that you get to level 20 and you can remake your character in whatever you want. So try something different.
That is true. And
Actually,
they might even give you a plus 20 heart of wood.
Axel's DDO channel has put together an overview of the new free coupon and what to expect. You can check that out on YouTube. The guild hall for the week. The recruitment forums are a great place to find a guild. Besides guild postings for recruits, players are using the forum to help guilds find them. Check that out. Reading between the lines, Jerry, if you have a guild that you want to advertise, send an email to contact@sandstonegames com with the subject line Guildhall to get yourself featured. The comment, what color should the Night Revels armor be next year? I know
That's a
pink
good
would be
question.
popular.
Pink would be popular. I love a nice orange. This is the first year that I think I've bothered to make cosmetics.
Orange
Is
would be
that
good.
weird? I like the yellow.
The pumpkin orange would be good.
Yeah, I like an orange. Yeah, I don't know. I could take no more cosmetics until they fix a storage. Is that a weird way to put that in here? It feels like a
No,
weird way to put this in here.
I hear you. I'm
But like
I'm
that's
probably
kind
have
of
to
how I
make a
feel.
second mule character just to hold cosmetics.
I literally have cosmetic 1 and I'm about to make cosmetic 2, I think.
Yeah. Let's see. Fansite news. We got a shout out for a preview of for continuing preview 2 last week. DDO Players News gets a new mount. The Damsels recorded DDO quests per day, so you can check out their channel. It's Saba is doing publishing a
It's
quest
pretty
a day.
good.
Aldbar has a walkthrough for Another Man's Treasure. DDO Stream is your first stop to find DDO on Twitch. DDO PL, Bard Life, and Brighter Days Ahead are getting shoutouts there. On Twitch, Deathy TV, Kedaran Den, and Snowfall 31 are getting some shoutouts. Snowfall is actually, I think that's my guilty. They're trying to beat Legendary Lord of Blades on R10. Lord of Blades is still winning, which I am very happy of because Lord of Blades is awesome. On YouTube, Ashen Wings, the Brit Beard, and Voodoo Spice are also getting shoutouts. And Gaming SF writes about returning to Stormreach. You can check out their blog there. Let's see. Yeah.
Rip. Samius Gurobo is too mean to DDO to get shoutouts anymore. Rip.
I feel like
That's
you
not
had one
true.
like last week.
I probably did. I don't. I'm gonna be honest. I used to get really upset that I wasn't in the Chronicle more often. I feel like people would point out to me like how many times other people were in the Chronicle, and it really would irritate me for a long time. And somewhere in the last like 3 months, I'm like, whatever. Like it's nice, but what's more important is just having you guys actually come to the stream or having you guys come to the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just better. It's more important.
Well, hey, why don't you tell people where they can find you?
Sure. So obviously you can find me at twitch.tv/Samius Gurobo or YouTube by the same URL. But actually, would you like some news, Patrick?
I love news.
I've been kicking some stuff around for a while, and I haven't got all the details exactly figured out yet. But I think we're going to be starting perhaps a new podcast called Share very soon, where it's going to be more of like a talk showy type format with guests that come on and talk, maybe a little bit of DDO, but maybe whatever's going on. So like nerd stuff in general. So Patrick, would you like to come on Share as one of the first couple of guests?
Probably, yeah.
I would love to have you. I cannot think of very many people that I would like to put on before you. So
Well, that's
get you on. We'll
nice.
sit down. We'll have a conversation. We'll see if we can't find a hot waitress to bring us something to drink, and we'll see if we can have some fun. Just something I've been kicking around for quite a while. A lot of weird stuff has been happening lately. Again, for those of you who may notice, a new office, but I feel like I need to spend more time doing a wider range of content. So, like for example, I bought a new drone. So we'll be doing some drone stuff. It came yesterday, and I successfully ran it into the house almost every single time I started it. But we're going to have some drone content. We'll be doing the new podcast. We'll be doing this and that and the other thing. I'm very excited for the new channel in general, as well as the game changing. But I am also very, very scared that we're going to become a Triangle Tactics streamer next month. So bear with me, folks. Bear with me.
Well, thanks for joining me tonight. A little bit later than we normally do a show, but it's been a lot of fun.
I
Thanks.
mean, what do I do? I don't sleep and I talk, right? So we're already doing the things that I'm good at.
You should start a podcast. Be good at
Damn it!
it.
Can you think of any names? Preferably starts
I'm
with an S so I can make it start with my name.
terrible with names, but
How
I'll
about?
think on that.
Okay.
You're
I'm
you
gonna
came
kick
up. You're
Cher
the one who
around.
came up with DDOCast Splat, which was a great
I
name
did.
for that. So
I like to take credit for all of the really great ideas in DDO if I can. So
Uh, thanks for those for listening to the show, especially those that are hanging out with us live. And thanks to all the contributors for DDOCast. Thanks to Destinies Games, Wizards of the Coast, and to Cyberbears for hosting the podcast. If you'd like to support the show, you can visit our website at DDOcast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. If you have a DDO-themed webpage or you Twitch DDO and you'd like to be featured on our website, you can email us at DDOcast@gmail.com. You can also hit us up at DDOcast.com for show notes, MP3s, our calendar, previous shows, and other fun stuff, including various adventures in DDO, D&D tabletop, and even some other games. If you'd like to leave a comment on the episode, if you have a question you'd like to hear us answer, a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, or you just want to say hi, leave a comment or email us at ddocast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media and follow us for latest cast updates at DDOcast on Twitter is the best place. So may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chest level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to gather for buffs.